Hey Thomas, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk a little bit about your motion, some mechanics, and ways we can get ourselves in a nice position to deliver the ball with a lot of velocity, obviously. Keep ourselves healthy and just get to a point where we're nice and consistent with our mechanics and our delivery, all right? So we're going to go through and at each kind of different spot we kind of look at the mechanics and go from there. A lot of pitching and getting the right mechanics down is a lot of strength, and that's something that as you get older it's going to get a little bit easier. But we'll kind of go through and talk a little bit about everything and where we should be with throughout our delivery. So off the bat, where we start and we look at is we're going to mark your head right here. We're going to look at where your setup is. All right, a lot of how we start dictates how we're going to finish. All right, so we got to make sure we're starting in a nice solid position, and most importantly we have balance. All right, so as we start here, you can see right when you lift, your head staying over that back foot. All right, so you load it up on that back side. That's awesome. All right, a lot of times we see guys going backwards before they go forwards. So you have that good setup and good balance. All right, and you get started really well. So that's good to see. Starting is something that helps you out so much. If you're not starting right, chances are it's not going to finish right. All right, so nice work on the balance and everything. One thing I want to point out to you is the ability to repeat our mechanics and to get consistency is we want to try to limit any excess movement, try to just clean up as much as we can, because the more we're moving, the harder it is to time, the harder it is to repeat. And so one thing I want to key you in on is your glove, and you can see as you lift up, that glove goes down and then breaks down here. All right. So what I'd like to see is start your glove down here initially. All right. So instead of coming up high, start them down here a little bit more. Having your hands up high doesn't create any extra velocity, doesn't create a whole lot of extra benefit. It just is harder to time. Your hands might come down really quick one time, then your hands will break here. They might not go down as far, they'll break here. There's just a whole lot of inconsistencies that can happen. So, just clean that up, drop those hands a little bit lower, and that'll help you out with time and everything, all right? So as we head up here to your balance point, all right, so right when you get up here, all right, you can see you're rushing a little bit forward, all right? Your head's staying over your back foot, but you can see your lower half's going a little bit quick, and then your posture is going to change a little bit. You can see how you get just a little bit out front before those hands break. What we want to try to see is getting up here and getting a little bit quicker with this leg up, back over that back foot before you get going, because right at your leg height right here, you can see that you really don't let your leg get as far back as we need to. At the height of this leg kick, we should try to get, I know you're from the stretch, we're trying to be quick, but we should try to still get that foot over that back foot somehow, and so we can close off our hips a little bit more. And then once you start getting going forward, those hands are breaking, which you're doing good. So that timing is pretty good. There's just a little bit of rush in this lower half, basically from here to here, where you're just not letting your hips get closed enough. You can still be quick and still get that leg back and close it off as you get going forward. All right, we just want to try to get to a point where our hips are closed and we're driving them down the mound as far as we can. All right, we're getting this closed. We're not letting that front foot kick out. All right, so as you get going down the hill, you can see how this foot is at about this angle. It's a little bit out, almost in front of your hips. Then you can see it's staying out here, and you're kicking back. And then I also want to mark your head too, is you can see how as you're kind of going forward, your body's just kind of tilting back, and you're not getting a whole lot of drive forward. All right, so you're just kind of leaning back and then getting going, whereas you want to try to maintain a little bit better posture. This is good. It's over your back hip. Now just try to keep it over there as you drive these hips forward. All right, pitching and velocity is all about getting down the mound and using those hips And so as you get down here, you know, without letting this front foot kick out. So here, you know, you might be at this angle. You know, now your head's, you know, it's still over that back hip, which is good. It's just out front a little bit more. You know, as you kick down, you know, now we're just now sort of starting to kick out early. Now our head's, you know, over that back hip, right around here. All right, so you just see how you just want to try to maintain about perpendicular to flat ground, that posture, as you're driving down the hill and driving those hips closed. All right, because then what you're seeing is you see this leg get out here and get straight, and then just kind of sits out there, and you lose that stride length. All right, so now you're landing with that weight out over that front foot. So now your weight's all out here, and you know, you could probably, looking about your height, you can probably get to about right here if you're at that landing point. All right, so you're just not using enough legs. And again, that's strength. It's not a strength issue, but you can still work on getting some stride length. And we want to try to get to that point where, you know, we're looking more like this, where that knee's not out over your ankle. All right, so we just got to get more drive from that lower half and get going. And because when you do kind of start early, you know, watching this back arm here just kind of comes up, and you come up and short arm it. All right, so basically you're throwing the ball uphill. You know, we have a mound, which benefits us because we're able to create angles, and we want to be driving that ball downhill. So now that your arm's late, all right, your arm comes up here, gets going, comes up, and now you're pushing the ball. So now right here at your foot strike, so once this front foot first hits the ground, which is right here, all right, you can see this left side's opened up early, and you can see that your shoulders are kind of elevated up. And then I'm just going to mark your elbow path through release as you're coming forward. All right, so you can see that uphill motion. All right, so basically what this is showing us is that, you know, you're early with everything. You're not getting down the hill, but basically you're pushing the ball uphill. And when you get older, it gets stronger. And if you keep throwing that way, it's going to start creating a lot of pressure on that elbow, and you're not going to be able to throw a whole lot without getting too sore. All right, at this release point right here, we don't want to try to see a stiff front leg. We want to try to see it at about almost close to a 90-degree angle or so. All right, so your foot's out here, and you're driving that ball out front, and you're driving that ball downhill instead of, you know, uphill. And so coming back to this spot at this foot strike, which is about right here, you know, I kind of noted before I wanted to see your legs a little bit, you know, maybe right here, and then you want to have that front glove still out over that front foot. All right, you can still have that lean right there, but then what you got to get in that habit of doing is using your legs and your hips to throw the ball, so then that elbow isn't so down and up. You know, basically at that foot strike, as you come through, you know, your shoulders are going to be a little bit more square, and then you're going to see that elbow, instead of coming up this way, you know, basically, you know, there's about the height of it. So back here, you know, you want to try to get to a, you know, there's going to be a little bit of up, but you just don't want to get too much up through here. It's kind of like you're kind of throwing the ball up, and if you're looking in on your lower half, you can see your legs kind of pushing up against each other instead of directionally out front this way. All right, so you just want to try to get more to that point where that ball's about, you know, right up here, and then everything's coming downhill instead of up and out. All right, then you can see it almost looks like both of your feet, that front foot comes off the ground too on that back foot. You can see it kind of squeak off. So you're just kind of throwing everything uphill with a lot of upper body. All right, so just, you know, and again, it's strength too, but try to get that point of using those legs. But just the fact of you staying closed longer, driving down the mound farther is going to help you out and clean up that arm path. Because when you're farther out down the mound, you know, now you're legs about out here, you're about right here, and then that's going to change that arm angle a little bit. So now you're going to be out here a little bit more, and then that ball is going to be able to get up right to here, and then you're going to be able to drive that ball downhill a lot better. All right, so anyways, it's just something to work on as you get older, get stronger. It's going to be a lot easier. So thanks again for making it out to camp. Hopefully you have a great year this year, and we look forward to seeing you with ABC.